Curtis A reached out to me, said make a theme song for my show. Said alright, just give me all the details, man. And my homie says he don't know. Well, if you're gonna pay me big bucks, cause I might should have something to say. He said, you know what I bring, I'm the customizing king, nothing else matters anyway. So is he gonna have guests? I don't know. Is he gonna go live? I don't know. What time will it be? What will you see? I'm pretty much in the dark, but I can guarantee he'll be customizing action figures, getting paint all on his fingers. It's art by Akerman. It's art by Akerman. Tips and tricks and conversation, sharing his gift with every nation. It's art by Akerman. Art by Akerman. You best get ready, cause now it's time for Art by Akerman.
Welcome back, folks, to another How'd They Do That? This is the series where I talk to different artists in the community about what they do. So it could be, customs, painting, dios, photography, whatever. And they come on and they share their secrets with all of you to help, kind of give you some tips, maybe some different tools to try, as well as just inspire you to, be out there creating, because that's really what this is all about. I know personally I have had a, kind of a life-changing thing with this whole customizing. It really has helped kind of keep my anxiety down. It's helped me introduce me to a bunch of people. And I'm pretty excited about the one that I'm talking to today, because not only is this person an amazing artist that just came in and right off the bat, started putting out fire right at the beginning. But really like one of my favorite people in the whole world. I just love this person. You may know her from my table mate at Legions Con. You may know her from Legions Ladies Live. You may know her from several of the interviews that she does with folks at conventions, or even the Mod Squad on Saturday mornings where she's painting with Stacy every Saturday. But coming to the stage is Tonya McCoy. Tonya, how are you doing?
I am so good. How are you, Curtis?
I'm fantastic. I'm very looking forward to talking to you here. I always enjoy hanging out with you anyways, but to be able to talk about your customs and stuff, I'm pretty excited. So,
well, I am excited that you asked me to be on, of course, honored to talk about my customs. And just so you know, you are one of my favorite people.
Oh, yay. Awesome. Well, let's get right into it. I've got a slideshow together and we'll throw us down here at the bottom. So this is one of your relatively newer ones. And I picked this one. I usually try to find one to throw up for the thumbnail. And this is one I've talked about some of your other customs with you personally, but this is one that we really haven't talked about yet because it is a newer one. So I figured I would start with this one and we'll just pull this up and tell us a little bit about what we got going on here.
So, again, a lot of the customs I have done have been mascot themed customs, and this one is no different.
Mm-hmm.
It is the latest one that I finished. That belt has caused me a lot of stress and strife trying to figure out how to use that body and put on the Alabama A. Was crazy. But this is also one of the first customs that I have done that is a lot of airbrushing. And so
oh, nice.
I was able to really dial in some of my airbrushing techniques on him. So this one was a learning experience as well as just freaking fun to do.
Awesome. So what on this did you airbrush and what was that experience like?
So his whole body and his head, his bare arms, legs and stuff. So
what did he start out as?
So he was as a Hazar.
Oh, wow, that's a big change. Okay. Okay. I was thinking maybe it was a Decebalus or something, but man, as a Hazar, that's a huge change. Okay.
Yeah, it is. So this was originally an as a Hazar, and so all the green, and that all the it was fun. So I used a black base on this, and from my other customs, like I rarely use a black base because I'm using white.
Right.
So my bases are usually very light or white. For this, I did use a black base. And then I went back in with 3 different grays.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah, I could see a lot of different kind of like depths and highlights and stuff within the grays.
yes. And thank you for your what the video you did where you used the dark base and then just went over it with lighter color so the darkness can show through. And you
The
showed,
like the zenithal highlighting
yeah,
one.
and you showed spraying it from one angle so the darkness,
Mhm.
you know, and so thank you for that because I used that technique here, whereas each gray I did from the top going down so that it would not cover and leave a lot of darkness underneath so it looked more natural rather than me trying to paint in the shadows and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you look like on his abdomen and chest and stuff, you can definitely see like there's those areas kind of under that have a little bit more darkness, and then the areas on top that you would expect light to hit is definitely standing out with more highlights. So that's awesome. What about that belt? So like, how did you get that A emblem on there? What do we got going on there?
So that is Azahazar's belt, and if you remember, Azahazar has that big Poxus piece on the front of it. So we pulled the Poxus piece off, and then got this odd looking belt look underneath it. Well, if you pull that out, it's like recessed in there. So using both of those pieces and trying to find a piece that works, this is actually a supposed to actually like clip into a crock. So it is a flat, round, like plastic piece that had a crock.
When
like
you say a crock, you're talking about like the shoes?
shoes, you know, it has the little holes. So it had
Wow.
one of
Okay.
the clips on the back that was supposed to clip into a crock.
That's
And so
pretty
it
cool.
is, yeah. So we found this and it was about the size that I needed it to be. And we heated it up and pulled off the piece that goes into the crock and glued it on, and it works perfectly. So the piece, the belt comes, the Poxus piece comes out here, and you have the other piece that actually goes into the round part of the belt.
Right.
So technically you could pull this out and put a whole nother one on the inside of it if you wanted to.
Yeah. So for anybody that's watched my exploded figure reviews, we typically say, you know, there's parts that are meant to come apart and there's parts that can come apart, right? And this is one of those ones that it can come apart.
Yes.
I think they put just a little tack of glue in there and attach it, but there's like a hole on the back of the medallion, we'll call it, for the belt. And then there's like a key on the belt itself. And they put a little tack of glue and then pop that on there. So if you heat that up, yeah, you can definitely pull that off and either switch it with another one from a different ogre, or in this case, you know, find something from a crock and add it to it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, just using parts and pieces and thinking outside the box. And, you know, again, you lead by example. You show me things and I'm like, well, you know, what if you did this? Because now I'm thinking outside the box to try to come up with the way that this is, you know, supposed to look. But yeah, this is a labor of love for sure.
let me move us over here because I want to show the feet too, because this I'm super curious about. So is that something you bought, something you made? What do we got going on in the feet?
So Azahazar has hooves, and Kevin, God bless him, sculpted toes.
That's cool. I like it. So like just use some green stuff and just added to it.
Yeah, so we filled in the bottom part where the hooves are split
Mm-hmm.
as a Hazar hooves. We filled
Mm-hmm.
that in with green stuff, and then Kevin sculpted each individual toe on the front all the way around. And I went through and sanded them down and painted them the same way that I painted the rest of the body, so it all matched.
They look great. Good job. And I like the fact that you and Kevin work on these things. Like even if it's not him sculpting, like when we were doing the Bayathier, the 24-hour thing, and he's just like doing color designs and like throwing at you, like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And the fact that you guys talk about this stuff and you have like this, collaborative relationship when it comes to this stuff is just really cool.
Yeah, I couldn't do half of what I am able to do because of him. He is in the background working a lot, helping me. I mean, even design choices that I choose, like, I had the entire foot, even all the way up into the ankle, painted gray, and he looked at me and said, "Tanya, that looks terrible." So then I had to go back and paint it, the crimson, which is
Mhm.
the same color as the rest of it. And he's right. I mean, it looks 100% better now than it did before. So, even some choices that I make in paint colors, he is always there to go behind me. The putting the crimson in the runes going down the sword, again,
Mhm.
that was Kevin saying, well, what if you did this? Because I was like, it's really plain. And he's like, well, what if you did this? So again, Kevin coming behind me with the ideas. He's such an artist and has such an
Mhm.
artist eye. And it's I'm very blessed and thankful to have him to, roll around ideas with.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the things that I love about this toy line is there's so many sculpted details that once you get a color pattern, right? So if you like in this, you're using mostly grays, that crimson, and then the white, then it's a matter of just determining which colors you're going to put where, right? It's almost like a color by number kind of thing.
Right.
And so, yeah, you look at it and you go, okay, well, I can do the runes in this color, and I can do, on the handle on the axe, I can do these parts white and these parts crimson, and you can kind of pick and choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
And then it makes it to where like you could actually use the same color pattern and do those same weapons or same figure multiple times, and depending on which parts you plan on painting each time, you could make it look different even with the same color scheme. So yeah, super
Yeah.
cool.
This is,
uh,
I mean, and it was such a fun thing. My dad is a big Alabama fan,
mhm,
and trying to find the head, the tusk without the jewels
mhm,
on it, that was tough. But Planetary Dog Toys had the tusk with no jewels and just a plain Alabama. So it really it took a lot to try to find the right head, and then to fit it to the right body, and then all the stuff. But it's a lot of fun to visualize it in your head and then see
mhm.
it come together.
Well, it's like a challenge, right? Like you have this idea of what you want to create in your mind, and then it's like, okay, and then you go through like all the parts that you've seen over the years, right? And it's like, okay, out of all the parts that I've seen from the Four Horsemen and all the 3D parts that I've seen available and stuff, like how can I make this thing come to life
Right.
with that? And so yeah, like sometimes you got to do something like sculpt some feet or find a
Right.
croc medallion to put into a belt. And it's just the fun of it. It's like this whole challenge part about it. So then the first four that you did, I want to kind of transition into those now, because that was kind of like the first things that I was seeing. And I know this isn't the first one you did, but it's the first one that's coming up on the slideshow. So, so yeah, tell us about like the four together, like what the idea was, and then if you could talk about this one individually.
Well, technically, he was the one that started it all.
Oh, okay.
Even though he wasn't the first I painted, he
Mm-hmm.
was the one that started it all. We left Legions Con 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I really fell in love with the line. And it was more of an art show than it was a toy con. And I had been to Legion, not Legion's Con, but I had been to Comic Cons, Toy Cons. I mean, you name it, I have been with Kevin through all of those. So, really and truthfully, when we got to Legion's Con, not knowing what to expect, I really wanted it to, I love the art aspect of it. And Kevin, on the way home, said, Kratos' head would make an amazing Ramses. And my head just started turning. I mean, like the gears just started turning. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, he would. And then so we started back and forth and back and forth. And Kevin, so many times, has said, well, you could do this, or we could do this, or, whatever. And ideas just started forming. And I started like really thinking about doing all 4 of the teams, because I grew up in just a town over from where we live right now. But like, I grew up watching ACC basketball and ACC football, and my dad was a huge fan of college football and college basketball, and my house was always filled with sports playing anytime that they were on. So for me, this was part of my childhood. So when the thought process of being able to do the mascots came, it just seemed like a perfect fit for me. So Kratos wasn't out yet, and I had been thinking I wanted to do this. Kratos wasn't out yet, but then Marley came out, and I didn't see Marley as Marley. I saw Marley as the Demon Deacon, which is Wake Forest. And so that's where it all started. Being able to look at this body and go, well, there's the Demon Deacon. And then I was like, okay.
Minus the head.
Right, minus the head. So then I'm like, I need a head that will work. And I'll be doggone if Steve Busciotti wasn't one step ahead of me. And he created the head for Scrooge. And when he did that, it was the perfect head for the Wake Forest Demon Deacon. And I was off to the races.
Well, and this is part of what I love about this whole thing. Like, I don't want to get like, I don't know, too philosophical or something, but just how everything works together. Okay. So Stephen had sculpted a Scrooge head a year before, right? Before Marley came out. And he showed it to me. He showed it to Len. We thought it was awesome, but we had no idea what you would put it on. Like, there was no body, because the head that he had sculpted wasn't this one with the hat. It was actually one with like a nightcap kind of thing, like a nightwear, whatever. And like, we're like, it's great. It looks awesome. You did a great job sculpting. And this is early on when he was, first starting sculpting. And we're like, but there's nothing to put it on. Like, we don't. And so it just kind of sat there. So the file existed, but it was just like in the background. And, little behind the scenes thing here that, I don't know if I should be sharing it, but I'm going to anyway. So at MesquiCon that year, Stephen had that head on display. We weren't selling it. We weren't doing anything with it, but we had it on display. And Cornboy was there. And Cornboy saw the head and he goes, "Where did you get this?" And Stephen goes, "I sculpted it." He goes, "You sculpted this?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh my gosh, you're not going to believe this, but we've got something coming out that's going to be like related, but like along these lines kind of thing." And didn't tell him like that it was Marley or whatever, but just was like, it was just an interesting thing. And so we knew, like, at MesquiCon, whatever that was, like 8 months before Marley came out, that there was something coming down the road that was somehow going to relate to Scrooge. And so then the Marley comes out, and we're like, oh, wow, this would really go well with your Scrooge. But once again, we still don't have a body for this type of head that you have. And so then Lynn's like, well, why don't you put a hat on him? If you put a hat on him, and I mean, anybody that knows Len knows that he loves hats anyway,
Yeah.
right? And he's like, put a hat on him, and then we can put this head on that body, and it could be kind of the out and about Scrooge, not the in the house, whatever. And Steven's like, awesome, cool. And so he sculpted a hat for it and put it on there. And at this whole time, you've got your thing going on, and it just hits at that right time. And it's just to see, for myself to have seen all those things work together and the timing of it, and all of the, Kevin bringing that thing up to you about the Krotos head, and then you getting interested, and then the Marley comes out, and then you see this head. Like, all of these things had to line up perfectly for you to make this jump into this like you're doing. And it's just, I don't know, I just think it's really cool to see all of that, all the little threads and butterfly effects and all that. So anyhow, a little backstory there.
And it's fantastic because, I mean, you just never know. I mean, you just never know. So when this Marley came out and this head came out and I ordered it, and I looked at Kevin and I'm like, I'm going to use the Marley we've got. We'll pick up another one at another time.
Right.
We have March coming up. We have Toylanta. I'll pick up a Marley there, but I'm going to use the one that we've got.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know me to know, like, I would never, like, the Four Horsemen artistry in what they create is amazing. So I want to keep one the way they created it. I mean, just me, and I'm like, that's just the way it is. And so,
well, and it's even amped up more for the figure obscura, right? Because it's like a regular figure, you can buy a few extras, whatever, and they're not as expensive, they're not as rare, whatever. But figure obscuras are really like a work of art. Like, it is, the way that they put it out, they really put a lot of attention to making that character come to life. And so to paint it and change it, you almost feel bad, right? Like you're defacing a Mona Lisa or something.
Right. So and then Kevin was like, and you're sure you're going to be able to reply? Well, yeah, they'll have them. It'll be fine. Oh my gosh. So I went ahead and I started painting, and this was learning 101. And praise God for the customizing studio, for you, Jesse, Emil, Joe Vaspolo. I mean, all the, so many great painters in the community that get on there and talk to you about what's going on. I just cannot tell you how much you guys helped me in the beginning. The other issue with doing mascots is color. Because there are specific things that are specific colors, and if you don't get the color right, it's not going to look right.
Yep.
And my son, again, big sports fan because he grew up around my dad. I mean, sports are on all the time when they're in season. And so, he has really helped me come up with like colors. This gold was just me trying all kinds of different things to get this to make it and to work. And Logan finally gave it the seal of approval after, I don't know, 3 or 4 tries. And so that's where the gold comes. Well, all the colors. In all of
I just got to say, like, for your first one, when you put this out, I looked at this and I'm like, that's not fair. Like, somebody shouldn't be able to do this well in their first, I'm like the details were so crisp, like all the line work and everything, like everything was just very nicely done. And I was like, there's no way this should be because I look back at my first paint jobs and I'm like, man, they were awful, just awful. And this came out fantastic. Like, you just did a really great job right off the bat. The other thing I'll say, and I know we're going to have to talk about some SoFlat, because you picked a group to start with that has a lot of white. Like, it's not one character. It's like pretty much all of them have a lot of white. And white, for anybody that hasn't, painted in white, it's like one of the hardest ones to paint because the coverage typically on most white paints is just not very good. And so you got to do layer after layer after layer. And you want to make sure that you're not doing it too thick to where you're leaving brush strokes, But if you do it too thin, that means more layers that you got to do. So it's just like this very tedious process. But yeah, tell us a little bit about that part of it. You know, you're getting the line work down as well as kind of working with white.
So line work is just, and to this day, it's exactly the same. I will paint the base color. I will go back over the details with the color that it is, and inevitably, I am going to paint those detail colors on the base color. And then I'm going to have to go back and touch up the base color. Mm-hmm. And then I am going to get the paint back on the details. Then I'm going to have to correct
back and forth, right?
Back and forth and back and forth. And let me assure you that it is terrible. But eventually it gets to the point where I'm like, okay, it's as good as it's going to get. I'm done.
And that's what I think, some people will say, well, I have no artistic ability and this and that. And it really doesn't take that. Like you got to do it. Right. And it, like you said, you're going to paint the black, then you paint the gold, and then you go, well, I got some gold in the black. Maybe I'm just going to make up a number, but let's say I got 8 spots where the gold went in the black, and then you touch those up. And when you touch those up, now you've got 4 spots of the black that go into the gold. Right. And then you touch that up, and now you've got 2 spots of the number of mess ups keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller until you go, okay, I think this is good. Yeah. Right. So it's not a matter of just being amazing right off the bat. It's a matter of just sticking with it and continually fixing things until there's nothing left to fix.
That's exactly it. And we it makes me laugh too, because when you get older and your eyes start going bad and you have to use the
magnifier
that have the magnifiers on them, and then what you're seeing through the magnifiers is 40 times what it is when you actually look at it with your eye.
Yeah.
So take your magnifiers off and look at it and see how it looks, because that's the way everybody else is going to see it.
Yeah, I mean, you hear all the time, like, we're our own worst critic. Well, it's even like that times 10 when you're using magnifying, because you're seeing things that nobody else is going to see with the naked eye. But you're like super critical. No, that one spot is like way off. I'm terrible. I'm awful. It's like, right. It's like, no, just calm down. Be okay.
So, but details are just that. I mean, and it takes a while. I mean, I worked and worked and worked on the details and cleaned them up and messed them up and cleaned them up and messed them up. But eventually it got to the point where I'm very happy with how this, I mean, like,
oh, it looks gorgeous.
I was really happy. White is terrible. If you think that you're going to use white, don't paint anything black. Go white from the start. Because you really need to prime in white. You need to paint in white. And Curtis, thank you for the So Flat, because I'm telling you, it would have been so much worse if I did not have the So Flat. And there are a lot of layers of white on this, but it would have been terrible had I not
even that much more,
because the So Flat really covers in a way that I was able to do a lot less than I would have had it been, anything else. And the same deal when you're painting the details and you get black or gold on white. So Flat is a godsend, because otherwise you would not be able to cover up the black and the gold that you just put in the white. I mean, it is awesome. I love it. And, maybe I will try another white sometime, but at this point, So Flat is my go-to. I'm never giving it up.
It's a really great paint, especially for the lighter colors. And, I got to say, I appreciate you saying, thanks for the So Flat, but nothing I can't think of too many things that I've found on my own. Everything has been from either YouTube University or from somebody else that I've, talked to or whatever. And the So Flat I got directly from Sherry. I mean, it was like several G-Cons ago. they were talking to her about one of the figures that she had done the prototype for, and she was talking about So Flat. She's like, oh, we just started using this paint and I absolutely love it. It's like the best paint in terms of coverage and consistency. She's like, I can't say enough about this. And I was like, well, shoot, if that's what the studio's using, like, why would I try to use something different? Right. And I got some of it and I'm like, not only does it go on well and it's got good coverage and stuff, but then the finish of it is really, it's that matte finish that you get typically from their figures, and it just looks so good. So
it really does. And I am blessed that, well, the blessing to me is that you told me that early. Like, I wasn't out there trying to find a white and fighting with white, early. I had So Flat for him. And so for me, it's, you saved me a ton, because as you can see, this one is a little bit of white, but if you go back to the last one, that's a lot of white on that side. Yeah. So, when we talk white, there are a lot of white on my characters. And, I will say that So Flat is the reason why. Now, this one, I did use another acrylic, pearlized acrylic. After I got the white on there, I went over all of his armor with that pearlescent acrylic white, just to make it look more like armor.
Gotcha. Make it a little sparkle.
Yeah, sparkle armor kind of look. Because I was using the white and I wanted it to be very armor.
Now, I wanted to pull up the. You want to go back to the other one?
Yeah, the navy blue on that. And I know people say all the time, don't use craft paint, don't use craft paint. This is craft paint from either Michael's or Hobby Lobby. That is a navy blue craft paint.
Oh, there you go. I mean, I know just from, in our talks in the studio with Joe Vassapolo and talking to Sherry and being at Intern a few times, like, they use every kind of paint, right? Like, like Sherry said, they were very high on So Flat. They love using that a lot. But if they find a good color that they want to use in deco art or folk art or apple barrel, whatever, they will use whatever it is. I know a lot of their metallics they will use either deco art or folk art for, because there's just a lot more color range in the metallics. But yeah, whatever works. I mean, you don't want to be closed-minded to trying new things. That's for sure.
No. And yeah. And like I said, this navy, it took a lot of coats to get it the color and the consistency that I wanted. But, it is a folk, and, and I did water it down, not a lot, but I did water it down some, because you do want it to flow on very consistently and do well. But this is a beautiful, beautiful navy color. And it looks so good with that other Carolina blue color. So I love it. I think it looks really good.
And we got younger Tonya here too.
Yeah. So yeah, my son and I went to all the ACC basketball tournaments, and I'm a big Carolina fan. That's my team. So every year I would find Ramsey and get my picture taken with him.
That's awesome. I wanted to talk about this one because I felt like you were very hard on yourself on this one, and I thought it came out great. But when I talked to you about this, you seemed to be not real happy with yourself on this one, and I think you had to do some extra work and try things a few times. So I think that's a good thing to kind of talk about for folks that may run into some struggles or some frustration. So tell us a little bit about this one.
So this armor has been painted and unpainted. I've taken the paint off of this sucker 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
The worst is the belt. Because of the soft plastic of the belt, when you take when you use it multiple times to take the paint off, it does tend to have some cracking and stuff in it, which is the part that hurts the worst, because you can't, like, you can just paint over that and you
Mhm.
fill it in and it looks fine. But it really was the bane of my existence. And I love this character. I mean, I truly love Tuffy. His name is Tuffy. He is
Mhm.
from the North Carolina State Wolfpack. Um, and I truly love Tuffy. I have lots and lots of friends that graduated from North Carolina State. Lots of their kids have gone to North Carolina State. So Tuffy is he's very beloved. Um, but this one was tough, and I will say, don't give up. When you make a mistake,
Mhm.
and you have to go in, just ask, how do I take this off? Soak it, take it off, get the paint off, and start again. And just know you are not alone. I have done it multiple times.
So what was it as you were going through that made you feel like I've got to start over? Like was it a color? Was it the way that you were designing it? Like what was the point where you're like, I just don't like this and I got to start over?
So, State uses a lot of black, white, and red.
Mhm.
And when I originally did it, I had way too much black on it.
Okay.
Like way too much black. And the red wasn't right. So Logan looked at me and said, "Mom, it's too much black. It just does not look like State." And I'm like, "Okay." So then I took it back to the drawing board, took everything off of it, and then went back to repaint it. And then the red wasn't right. I could not match up the red to be that State bright red, candy apple red.
Mhm.
Um, and then I couldn't get like the black detail. I couldn't make the black work. And then you have the actual metal looking armor that we wanted to be metal, and then I messed that part of it up trying to make it like a metallic that did not really go. It was a lot. I mean, every time I started, I would stop and look at it and go, yeah, this is not it.
Gotcha.
So after painting like several layers of red and not being able to get the right red, finally I had to take it all off again, because now you're losing the detail in the
Right.
design. So then you take it off again and try again. And I think I stripped it 3 times, and painted it 4. I am happy with the way that it looks, but
Mhm.
it's still not exactly right. This one
Gotcha.
will haunt me for a while.
Well, I mean, and I know I've seen some things with some other artists where they've made a custom that for some reason they just felt like it wasn't quite right. And maybe it's something where a part comes out down the road that you go, that's what I need. Like if I have that, I can make this a better version of this and that kind of thing. So, you never know. Like as I'm looking at this picture of the mascot and stuff, like if we ended up getting like some lower legs that were like fur legs instead of an armor, like maybe that would be something that would help this, or whatever. Like I just could see some different things coming out where you go, you know what? I want to do this one again because I feel like now I've got the parts library that I can make it the way I want it to.
Yeah, and to be honest, I mean, the armor was the worst. Now the actual body itself, I used
Mhm.
the orc with that had the dark, that had the browns underneath and the black on
The Shadow Orc or
Shadow.
Gorthok? Okay.
That's the one. So his body is actually the Shadow Orc body.
Hmm.
And so I just used the black that was already there and then kind of put in stripes to make the fur to make it look more furry. So it actually, the legs and the arms and the feet actually to me were really really good.
Mhm.
And of course the head, we used Shipwreck's
Yeah.
hat,
Yeah, that's awesome.
and turned it sideways to fit. So, but that was, a really, really good way to create the design that I needed.
It's funny because I remember you like You were asking if anybody had seen like an extra shipwreck somewhere, if they had an extra shipwreck, and like you see some of these requests from people, and you're like, what are they cooking up? What do they get? What they got going on? You know? So
Here you go. This
yeah.
is what I was creating. But and in the end, I am happy with it. I think it looks great. I think when you put all four of these guys together, they
Mhm.
make a great team.
Oh, for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. And so yeah, the fourth one that we haven't looked at yet is obviously this one.
Yeah. Again, a lot of white.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of white.
Another collaboration with you and Kevin as well, right? On the head.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. This head, I tried, I looked, I spent hours scouring the internet trying to find a 3D part that would match and could not find anything. And then we got on the customizing studio and we were like, so, do you just glue the ears in? Like, what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
How do you attach things to a head if you need to? And the advice that I got from everybody there was amazing. The liquid green stuff, the regular green stuff, the how to attach those horns and how to attach that beard were perfecto. Kevin's engineering in being able to create this to make it, to put the ears on and to create it to make it look good was bar none the best of the best. And so
Because didn't you use like a Marvel Legends head or something just as the base? Is that
yes,
right?
so the head itself is Age of Apocalypse. um oh Kevin eating. It's one of the Age of Apocalypse figures,
Okay.
uh from Marvel Legends. And then the beard itself
Mm-hmm.
is Age of Apocalypse. Magneto has braided hair.
Oh,
So
okay.
the beard is the very end of one of the braids.
That's awesome.
The horns are Mythic Legion's horns. You can get it on several different characters. I had an extra set of horns, so I clipped the tips off of the off of one horn. I clipped two tips off of one horn. And then the ears, we had an extra swig head. So we cut the ears off of Swig and put it on there. So yes, this is very much engineered.
Age of Apocalypse Colossus.
Colossus, that's the one. Yes.
There you go.
But yes, the Age of Apocalypse Colossus and the Age of Apocalypse Magneto,
Mm-hmm.
both of those were used to make this.
And I love the blues on there on this. Like the blue you used is so good. It's brilliant.
Well, I had to match that amazing cape, a Darla cape that is beautiful and looks perfect. I could not.
She was pretty happy with that. We've never remade that cape. Like that was a one of a kind. So
and from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for doing that for me, because it is beautiful. Like it is amazing. It finishes out that figure amazingly.
yeah, this came out great.
And the trident was from, I think, a weapons pack. I think we used the trident out of one of the weapons pack.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it was
Awesome.
it was a labor of love for sure. But man,
And yeah, and all four of them have white on them. Like
yep,
it's a ton of white.
A lot of white.
All right, so you got to pull up these because first off, I love the Mercurians. I just love that look, like that Spartan-esque, kind of Trojan helmet look. But you've got a couple here that you've then, kind of brought into some real world elements. And I know the one on the left you actually did for somebody. What about the one on the right? Was that for somebody as well?
So my son graduated from UNCG.
Okay.
as I'm doing all of the mascots for the Big Four, he said, "Well, when are you going to do one for me?" So he graduated from UNCG, and their mascot is a Spartan. And so I got an extra Spartan, and he walked me through how to do the colors, what colors to use where, how to put them together,
Mhm.
what was supposed to be navy. And this one, again, craft navy, the same one that I used for the other one. It's a craft paint. So please use all paints, no matter what. Um, but he really was with me throughout the whole thing. And I am probably, I mean, I didn't make the shield for either of these,
Mhm.
but I am probably most proud of painting those stinking shields because of
They
how,
look great.
I
When
mean,
you say you didn't make them, what do you mean by that?
so a friend of mine, Josh Artrip,
Mhm.
actually went to UNCG, and he and I
Mhm.
are friends, and we see each other at shows and at all the things. And so he has a 3D printer, and he 3D printed both of these for me
Gotcha.
as a gift to me because he knew what I was working on.
Mhm.
And I just ran with it. And both of these, I could not be more proud of how they came out. I mean, they
They're
just
amazing.
were awesome.
I mean
And
that the Green Bay shield, the it's so crisp.
yeah,
And not only crisp, but I understand like when you're doing white details, like painting white kind of is we've already talked about is not easy on its own. But when you're painting white details up against a dark color, if you make a mistake, if you're trimming it with that dark color and it goes into the white and now you've got to touch it up, it is very hard to touch up because not only do you have to try to, like let's say some of the black got into that white part of the G, not only do you have to try to cover the black, but you've got to try to make sure that that spot doesn't start getting too high with layers of paint to where it like has this unevenness to it, right? So
right.
it's just very difficult. And so for it to look this crisp and still look smooth, I am very impressed with how that came out.
Yeah. And not only, I mean, and not just on the shield itself, but
Mm.
on the Green Bay Spartan. I mean, all of his details up around and, under his arm and
Yeah,
over his
trimming in white. Oh,
trimming, all
don't
of that.
envy that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all of that in white was, but Logan said it had to be trimmed in white, so I did it. And I mean, again, the gold color that we used for the
Mhm.
Spartan for Logan Spartan, the UNCG Spartan, that gold is more like an ink. It's a
Yeah.
gold ink kind of gold, so it is like bright shiny gold.
Mm.
Whereas the gold that we use for Green Bay is not a bright, shiny gold. It is just a yellow and orange mix that I
Mhm.
made to create that color that would be for Green Bay. And amazingly enough, yellow is for me was harder than white. And I had to
Both of those colors typically give people problems.
Yeah,
Yep.
I had to paint pink first.
I've heard that. I've never tried it, but I've heard that that's the key. Like if you base it in a pink and then do yellow for some reason, it just really pops and holds a color well. So
Yep. So I worked and worked and worked trying to get it right without doing that. But I painted pink underneath and then painted yellow on top of it, and it was perfect. Exactly
that's
what needed to
awesome.
be.
Um, so when are you doing a Raiders one?
I haven't been asked to do a Raiders one.
I mean, I'm just saying I might know somebody that if you did a Raiders Shield one, they would be pretty interested, just FYI. So but these are awesome. I love them. Fantastic work. I saw the Green Bay one firsthand at MesquiCon, and man, just as much as it looks great in the picture, in person, it was just even better. So, all right, tell me about these ladies.
So I found this head on Planetary Dog Toys, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do.
Which one? The
And
one on the left or the
the one
right?
on the right, the sky. Um,
Okay.
I found her head on Planetary Dog Toys and knew exactly what I wanted her to be. And that was about the time that Bastet and uh,
Anubis.
Anubis were released, and so then I knew the body I was going to use to do her. So the head match, the paint match came from David Williams, and it worked out beautifully. Um, and then the wings were Marvel Legends, and I absolutely love the skirt. The skirt was done by uh, Jenny
Oh,
with
from Immortal Collections.
Immortal Collections. She created that skirt for me. I added the little jewel detail for her, and then when I got the skirt in, I was looking at Bastet's um, the top part of Bastet, and so I just pulled the colors out of the skirt to make her top to paint her top.
I
So
love that. Like, there's once again, you've got these really nice details that they sculpt into these figures. And depending on how you paint it, I mean, you could do it one solid color, you could do it a color and then do some dry brushing over it. Or, like in this instance, you do each of those bands individually in different colors. And it's like each time that you paint it, it just creates a different look. And it's just so well done.
So, but she was a joy. Called her Sky, and she was that one and my UNCG Spartan were the first two figures ever sold. And yes, I cried. Um,
At Legion's Con,
Legion's Con 2024.
I got to see Emil sell his first figure. I was at the table for that, and I got to see you sell your first figure. I was like, that's awesome.
Yes.
So
So after doing Sky, I got home and had a friend message me, and he said, you know, can I get you to do a commission for me? And I'm like, ugh, I don't want to do commissions. I just want to paint what I love.
you're right.
And he said, so my girlfriend really loves Tinkerbell. And I went, okay, so this is what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to think about Tinkerbell. I am going to think about what I think Tinkerbell looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to create something that I like that reminds me of Tinkerbell.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to purchase her, you can purchase her at Legion's Con. You will
That's
get
the way to do it.
first right of refusal. If you don't want her, you don't have to purchase her, and I will keep her forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
Unless
See,
wants
and I want to touch on this because, like, I don't typically take commissions. Now I do have one thing that I'm working for Legion's Con this year because it's part of a larger project that somebody's working on. But typically I don't take commissions, and the reason I don't is because I don't. First off, I don't know when I'm going to be able to paint, and I've got so many things on my priority list, anyways, that it's just difficult to do something for somebody else. And then the other thing is that like for me, I worry about, okay, are they going to like what I try to do? Are they going to try to control what I'm doing? Because I can't have somebody controlling what I'm working on. So I love the fact that you're like, hey, it's a cool idea. I want to make one anyhow because it does sound like a cool idea. If you want to buy it, great. If not, no obligation. But that way you're not, beholden to them to, like, follow whatever little directions that they have and things like that.
right.
That's cool.
So when Ghost of Christmas Past came out, of course, I knew immediately we're using her because I loved her body and she was perfect for Tinkerbell.
Mm-hmm.
The actual skirt here, I went to Hobby Lobby Michaels, I don't remember which one, and picked up some silk flowers.
Oh, okay.
So this is actually like greenery, silk greenery. And I pulled off the silk pieces and put them together and made the skirt and then painted it to match the rest of her suit. And then, so that is actual greenery. Again, use what you have. Um, her wand is actually two different earrings that I put together and made her wand. And then, her wings are Artemis 2
Mm.
wings, and her feet are the actual feet. Kevin, again, my engineer, sculpted the shoes around her toes, and I just used little bitty pom poms that I got at Hobby Lobby or Michael's to put on the top of her feet because I always remember her having those pom poms. So,
That's awesome.
and then I forget. I know it's in the post of where I got the head from. Um, oh, anything posable, maybe?
Okay.
I think maybe. Um, the head had a scar. I think it's from a video game. I think this head is a character from a video game that somebody created. So it has a scar right here. So I just filled in that scar with liquid green stuff. Um, and then she's got the bun on the back, and it's a perfect fit for me for Tinkerbell.
Looks like highly posable
Highly,
for the head and got the wings from Dirk's Designs.
yeah.
So, yeah, very cool.
But yeah, that has, and as far as I know, the person
Mhm.
who wanted it still wants it. That may change, and if it does at Legion's Con, I will have her there. So we'll
But
see.
either way, she'll be on display at Legion's Con,
She
right?
will be on display at Legion's Con.
Very cool. One more. One more. So, we had the whole 1,000 swigs last year. Obviously, being, one of the breakout customizers of the year, you couldn't come to Legion's Con and not have a swig. So, yeah, tell us a little about what you put together here.
Well, when I was thinking about doing a swig, of course, I was knee deep in doing all of my mascots.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite team, my favorite mascot is Ramses.
Mm-hmm.
So my swig wanted to be Ramses because it knew it was my favorite.
So this swig is also a fan.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying? Okay. Gotcha.
When I got the idea to do the horns, I told Kevin, I said, I want horns here. And he says, you want me to do what? No, honey, I want you to drill through the hood and drill through the head and attach horns in there. And he's like, I'm sorry, you want me to do what? But I left him with the head and the horns and came back a little bit later, and it was done, and it looks amazing. But really, it is all of swig, I believe, everything there except for I added the horns.
Mm-hmm.
And Big Dub's sister Kim,
Mm-hmm.
I asked her if she could create me the skirt piece that is on there, and she did a fabulous job. That is just
very cool.
So that was my first time masking as well. I wanted it to look like it was rusty or
Mm-hmm.
painted correctly. So I did mask some parts of it while I was painting it, and then went back and peeled off that masking so that you see the rust and stuff underneath it.
That's really cool. I was wondering how you accomplished that. So beautiful. Well, that is the slideshow. So I appreciate you joining me. So folks, you can find Tonya. It's Aslan.creations, right?
Aslan.creations.
Yep. I will put a banner up here. Where are you going to be the rest of this year? Any shows that you're going to?
So we are talking about going to Heroes Con in June. I don't know if this will air before then, but that's coming up real soon. After that, Jolanta is on our radar, but we've had a couple of things come up and might not be able to make Jolanta as much as I would love to.
I hear there's going to be somebody really cool there.
I know, and I want to go. I do. But we are
understand.
Things come up.
Yeah, I mean, either way, I'm going to get to see the McCoys at Legion's Con, right?
That's right. So, we will be at Legion's Con. So you will definitely get to see me there, and I'm super excited to be there. and to be able to show you guys what I've been working on, and all the different things coming out. I'm having the most fun. This has been for me one
Hmm.
of the most fun things that I can remember doing. I have fell in love with this community. I
Hmm.
fell in love with this art, and it's amazing. It's
Very cool. So check out Tonya. Legion's Ladies live every other Thursday. They have amazing guests, and their interview style is quite a bit different than others. You really get to like one example I'll just throw out to you guys. Like I've known Emil for the last 4 years. We talk regularly. I know Emil inside and out. We've had some of the most deep conversations you can have. They did an interview with Emil, and I learned so much about Emil that I didn't know. It was crazy. So, even if you think you know somebody, they go on their show and you're going to learn a bunch of new stuff. So check out that every other Thursday. And then every Saturday morning, unless there's a con or something going on that they can't be there, typically they're Saturday mornings doing the Mod Squad. And that's what, like 8 a.m.?
nine
Not it's 8 for it's 8 for me
Yes.
Central Time, 9 a.m. Eastern.
Eastern.
Saturdays, same channel, Legion's Ladies Live.
Yep.
And then there's also a Facebook group now, right? Like you
There
guys created
is. Yes. And it's open to everybody. Legion's Ladies Live face group is open to everybody. And we hope everybody will come and talk and just, hang out with us there as well.
Absolutely. And if there's, I obviously it sounds like Tonya doesn't have a ton of cons the rest of this year, but typically they do go to some cons. And when they do, Tonya gets a lot of really great interviews, and they're not super long. So it's not like you're, have to sit around for an hour or so. She'll get a like 2-minute, 5-minute clip or something like that. And it's really great. So check those out all on that channel as well. Tonya, I really appreciate it. This was awesome.
This was awesome. I appreciate you, Curtis.
Absolutely. I'm going to put you backstage. If you've got to run, I totally understand. If not, hang out. I will be right back with you.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks. That was a fun one. I love Tonya. She's awesome. The McCoys just in general are just great. So couldn't have better table partners at Legion's Con. Did want to been trying to kind of recap some things at the end of these. So just a couple of things I heard there from Tonya. Try not to get frustrated. Don't let it stop you. Just keep working at it. If you got to start over, you have to start over. It's not the end of the world. If you make some mistakes going into details, you can always touch it up. Make sure you try different types of paint. Don't get stuck in one thing. But So Flat is really good. So especially if you're doing the lighter colors, the whites and the yellows. Try that pink base for the yellows. I've heard this from a few people, and Tonya just confirmed it that putting a pink base down and then the yellow really does help. And then one thing that I picked up from just throughout this is if a part doesn't exist, make it. There's a lot of things where, she either worked with a sculptor or worked with Kevin or worked with a soft goods person to create the thing that she needed, or got things from a crock, whatever you have to do. So if the part doesn't exist that you need, make it work. This was a really fun one. I feel like there's some lessons to be had here. If any of this stuff helped you, or if it just kind of inspired you to do some more painting, make sure you tag Tonya and myself, because we'd love to see what you create. And until next time, folks, keep creating.